everyone. We've done it. I told you on that last podcast we're going to get him back on, and he's here. We're in his beautiful facility. Let's have a look around. Magnificent. Luke, what did you do on the weekend, man?
What did I do on the weekend? So I was up in Auckland. So I went up to Auckland for some testing. So I was up in AUT as a fat adapted athlete. They're looking for participants for their study, which is to identify how heat affects fat adapted athletes at different training intensities. So so I was up there, hooked up to a whole heap of gadgets, so sensors everywhere, and
Thing in your mouth.
Yeah, thing in the mouth. Things everywhere.
No thermometers up the bum? Or?
Well, it is a heat-based one, so the only way to get internal temperature is that way. So,
Things you do for science. Who is doing that study?
So that's Ed. So he's up at AT doing his PhD currently. He's under Dan Plews for his PhD. Really interesting. Because Dan Plews being a high-fat athlete himself.
Right, so that's School of Exercise Science, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Awesome. So it's been 6 months, I think. Were you in the World Champs October?
World Champs was September. So,
jeez, we're nearly back around there. Who's Luke now today?
Who's Luke now? I suppose the best way to describe me is I'm a dreamer that takes action to empower change. I'm looking to empower as many people as possible, trying to bridge the gap between science to practical application through learning firsthand and then empowering others to make that change.
Nice, and that takes us on to firsthand experience. We'll leave the great success, which was the Ironman, for a later tale, but successful in that you made it to the World Champs, but then not such a successful time.
Yeah, you could say that, definitely.
What's the challenges of being overseas, man?
So challenges being getting sick. So everything was going well. I had 3 races pre-World Champs, so my key race. And they were going well. They weren't key races for me. They were just races to kind of test out a bit of race nutrition and kind of get back into the racing game after a long winter. It was, I think, 12 hours out and I couldn't walk pre-Worlds because I just had so much, I just got a GI bug. I just literally could not move. I could not get from my couch to my room without having to sit down halfway through, being lightheaded. It wasn't great. Things were coming out both ends, and I was losing weight. But hey, on a positive note, I made race weight.
What is it? Power to weight ratio improved overnight. Yeah,
I may have been a bit weaker, but I did a power to weight ratio.
No, so just gastro, did you do anything for it, or it cleared out? Your body got rid of it?
I just did everything I could do, which was, rehydrate as much as possible, get my electrolytes in there, and get as much nutrition in as I could stomach, which wasn't until that evening where I had to really get outside and get some fresh air and try and force some food in. Thanks to the guy that I travelled Europe with, the Max, he really forced me out of the house, which is just what I needed. May have been tough, but it was good.
So being fat adapted leading into a quite sort of still long distance, but more aerobic version of triathlon, what are your nutritional goals had you not been sick?
So you're talking Ironman?
No, the World Champs.
So the World Champs is a sprint distance, so it's a lot more glycolytic. So I actually, for that reason, at that point in time, I didn't actually go to fat adapted. So I was still kind of carbohydrate based at that point because I was worried about the lack of performance. There's literature coming out now saying that it doesn't actually affect your performance, but at that point in time, literature was stating that you're going to lose performance by not utilizing carbohydrate to its full stores. So at that point in time, I was still having carbohydrate.
So what was your goal? How far out were you that you got sick?
So I couldn't walk 12 hours out before my race. It came to that morning. I think so. Everyone else was racing in the morning at 8 a.m. So all the standard distance races. So I wanted to get out and watch them. But after about 8 trips to the toilet, I finally managed to make it out a little bit like an hour later than I was supposed to. I got to see the finish of their race, luckily. And then just throughout that day, it was just about just trying to get some energy up to race. And I slowly did feel better throughout that day after that morning. And got to race time. And I kind of forgot about it at the start line and kind of did my standard thing, got ready. And then the gun went off and everything was feeling all right. But when I went to give it that extra oomph, because the swim is one of my strong points, it's the point where I feel like I can actually pull away from the group, which I normally would, but I just couldn't. There was just nothing left in the tank. So at that point, I realised I'm just here to embrace it and enjoy it. Just be present in the moment and soak it up. Because how often you get to represent New Zealand on a big world stage like that? So and run down the blue carpet. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. It would have been really interesting to see, in the name of science, what your muscle glycogen was at.
Oh, would have loved to have seen it, yeah. I really wish I had some measures of how much weight I lost across that, 24, 48 hours, or however long it was.
Would have been cool to... Did you track your heart rate, or do you...
No. My heart rate monitor's been broken for quite a while. It's a bit of a pain. I really it would have been good to see heart rate variability and all those kind of, baseline measures, but, sadly didn't get them.
No, cool. So you got 12 hours to try and, at that stage, load your muscles and your liver with as much glucose and glycogen as you can.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Just sipping on electrolytes pretty much all day, getting as much as I could. But again, try not to have too much food that I started to feel ill, because you don't want to be running with a whole heap in your gut. So it was about thinking about those foods that my body would digest quite easily, and foods that I would like that I would actually eat as well. So just listening to the body was the big thing.
Cool. Yeah. What would be also really interesting, not that you want to get a gastro bug 12 hours out from a race, is now you're fat adapted and used to running on your own energy stores. It'd be amazing to look at what sort of performance you could put in and how you'd feel, if that was to come up. It would be fascinating, but not something you want to do in the name of science. No,
not particularly. I'll do plenty of stuff for science, but I don't want to go through that again. That wasn't fun.
Yeah, cool. So beforehand, again, the challenges of being overseas. Was some fantastic photos on your Instagram of biking along with a wine bottle in the back of a drinks holder and being on a train with 2 packs and a bike. What was the story there, man?
So that was one of our races. We didn't realise when we booked this race in Pottersdorf how hard it was to actually get to it. So we based ourselves in Vienna for about 2 to 3 weeks to do all our training and racing. And with Pottersdorf, you had to kind of catch a train and then a bus. But not to our knowledge, we couldn't get on that bus with our bikes. So we pretty much, I can't forget how far out we were. I think we were about 20, 30 Ks away, so we had to bike 20, 30 Ks to the end of the trip. And it was a bit of a mission. We ended up taking our road bikes pretty much off-road onto a gravel dirt road. Max was on his TT bike because he had it for standard distance and on really nice race wheels as well. And we just got along this gravel, please don't get a puncher with all our life in our back. The true traveller. And then on the way back, the reason for the wine was Max actually won that race. So he took out the whole overall race. So he got a big glass like this, and I think about 3 bottles of wine. Because this place was a big winery pretty much. And so we had to get that back, memorabilia. So we just put it everywhere we could in bottle holders and
it was very classic. And at the end, of course, we'll have Luke's handles, so scroll down and check out those photos because they're pretty good. So, and then afterwards you got to enjoy the fruits of what was a good trip and head to Oktoberfest. Not your first rodeo, but how did you go on this time? I saw you up on the table.
Oh, that was my first time on Oktoberfest.
Oh, Oktoberfest was your first time.
Yeah,
right?
Not first time to Europe, first time to Oktoberfest. It was unreal. Oktoberfest is just one of the happiest places and a great place to let your hair down. And it's just heaps of fun. We had a really cool crew there, and it was just such a good time.
Nice. And so, did you get the Holstein down, or?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about my video? Yep.
Yeah.
So the rule is if you stand on the table, you have to scale your whole stein. So I stood up on the table and the whole stein. The reason that kind of came about was Max, he challenged me. I'm not one to turn down a challenge.
Yeah.
I like a good challenge. And he said, at that point in time, I owed him for the previous day because I hadn't had cash out.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll wipe off yesterday's bill if you stand up on the table and scale a vessel. And it's not as easy as it sounds. First of all, it's a stein. And then second of all, if you don't do it well, there's people that throw breadsticks at you and they boo you. This is in front of thousands of people. Yeah. So the pressure was on. And I remember sitting there for about an hour, just like letting the beer kind of warm up a little bit. I was like, I'm just going to let that sit and then just prep myself before I did it. Took a lot of nerves.
It's a bit like doing a yard glass. You want to
pretty much,
You want to pour it in the morning and see how you go later on at night. How many times did Waisaki no Holo get chanted in your tent? Or
there's no number. It was just on repeat. Like it was ingrained in my mind post Oktoberfest. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. So you came back. How long did it take you to go, hey, I'm going to do an Ironman now?
Yeah, I suppose it was about when I came back. I started to revisit my goals, and that was kind of always in the pipeline was Ironman. And a lot of people tell me at that point, that's not possible. You've just done sprint distance. You could even because I was struggling to run at that point because I was dealing with my broken toe. And it's just not viable. But that just drives me.
Yeah.
So like I said, challenge. And took that challenge on, and I was like, okay, let's prove these people wrong. And I really wanted at that point in time to prove my tailored method that I had developed. So I saw it as a great opportunity to really prove people wrong and show them that there is a easier ways to doing things.
Yeah, and so let's go into the tailored method. I read an article that got published in the local rag, and it was about efficiency. So what was the deal, man?
So the reason I selected Ironman is because to me it epitomizes human potential.
Yeah.
Especially athletic potential. Because it really pushes your body to the limits because of the training load that is required is so intense. But then also coupled with that is the time management strategies needed. So what I see traditionally, I deal with a lot of Ironman clients prior to this, and what I traditionally saw was they were burning out in that kind of last couple of months in their lead up to Ironman. So I wanted to look at it from a different lens and see if I could approach it how I approach the rest of my business with an efficiency standpoint. So most people that do Ironman, they train on a weekly basis, 25 plus hours a week. But I wanted to prove that it could be done under 15 hours. So I never exceeded 15 hours with the intention of proving an efficiency point of training. So if you have your foundation strong, so you've got your nutrition on point, you've got your recovery on point, you just have to make sure you're doing your training effectively. So a really efficient training. Probably the better word is intentional training. So I managed to prove that. So that was my goal, and that was kind of how I kind of proved the model. Just making sure that I focused on the recovery just as much as I did as the performance itself. And I think it really paid dividends.
Nice. So how did you manage the toe?
How did I manage the toe? So the toe, it has been the bane of my existence recently. Because it is not healing. Came back from Rotterdam and was feeling all right, so I thought, okay, we're good. And then got back into it, and I was like, there's something still not quite right. And it led me to get an X-ray. I think it was November, my last X-ray, to tell me it was still broken. About 9 months later, but due to all my previous injury history, I've just got such a high pain threshold, so I never identify those things. So that's why I have to be very careful and be really in tune with my body. But at that point in time, I had the internal debate, I guess. Do I continue going and push through it? It's already been 8-9 months, or do I just completely stop and try and heal it? By that point, I'd kind of already committed to my training. I'd already done a half for that season, and I was just like, I was enjoying it, feeling good. I decided I'd push through it. I took a very minimalistic approach to running as a result. So I didn't really increase my running load until end of January, to be honest. So very minimal running, and my longest runs were generally in my races.
Yeah. And I saw that was the first time you did a marathon.
Yeah. Ironman was the first time I did a marathon, and my first half marathon was in a half Ironman.
Nice.
So yeah, I quite often will pull out of the bag longer distances on the race day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do they think it wouldn't heal? Was it because of your support tissue, or?
I've just abused it for too long.
Yeah.
When it originally happened, I took 3 months off running, but I still surfed, which in hindsight was not the best, and I shouldn't have. But at that time, I needed it for my mental, because I was still studying full time at that point as well. And surfing for me is that kind of mental break. It's that if I don't surf, I kind of get this kind of clouded mind. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
So I needed to get my release. So at that point in time, that outweighed it. So yeah.
Just a thought, possibly that stability in your feet could be supporting your toe. Do you think, or so having strong feet?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, of course I've addressed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing that on the to kind of help it on its men. So a lot of intrinsic footwork, so getting those intrinsic muscles working.
Yeah. Picking stuff up,
that sort of thing. Newspaper.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Plato's also really good. Moving away from shoes and getting into the kind of bare feet.
Nice.
Big thing that I used to always do was wear jandals through the summer. But what that does is it creates a claw.
Right. Yeah.
So you're continually clawing that big toe, and that's my broken toe. So it's continually putting that under tension. So the first thing I kicked away was the jandals. Try to wear those minimalistically as possible. Only like I'm going to a place and then kick them straight off. So true surfer, walked around bare feet. Because it's a lot more natural and doesn't cause that extra tension and gets those intrinsic muscles working. A few people look at you a bit weird or rock around in bare feet, but yeah, I just made sure I was either had a supported footwear for when I was doing more technical running, and when I wasn't, I was trying to train those muscles to get them firing. Yeah,
so I at the same time this summer consciously decided to go as barefoot as much as I could.
Oh yeah, didn't know that.
Whenever I got home, at home I never wore shoes. I didn't train with shoes on, and I noticed a massive difference. And like usually that first time when you get to the beach, walking around is just so uncomfortable. But this year it was amazing. And like walking over stones, you're just so ready for it.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing. And so I've tried to keep that up. Around home, not wearing shoes, and if I can train without shoes, it's really, really good. Having a sore toe, how hard is it then to run on the forefoot?
Yeah, so...
And what does that mean for your other joints as well?
Yeah, so being very much a science geek, I like to quantify things.
Yeah.
So I have this software which allows me to analyze my running gait.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a foot pod that I put on either foot, and through that I've identified that I run more heel on my left foot, which is because I'm offloading that toe.
Yeah.
Where I'm more mid foot on my right foot. So more mid to front foot. So it's quite interesting. So my body's literally trying to offload it as much as possible. And it's also creating a lot more force production as well. So there's a lot more force coming through my left side in comparison to my right. Yeah. That can be a result of landing on my heel, because naturally when you land on your heel, you're going to be putting your body weight and you're creating a braking force essentially. So it's landing in front of your body instead of underneath your body, which is going to slow you down and create a lot more force up through the joints, which therefore leads into a whole host of injuries if not kind of managed. Hence why recovery is such a key point of my training.
So something that I've sort of identified after being a year and a half post-surgery is that I've got a massive twist now.
Yeah.
And before I get into some heavy training, when I get over to Australia, I want to do a rebuild. And so that's why I've tried to, while I don't have any weights or I don't have any gym membership, just do crossover stuff and try and even up the body, doing more lunges and actually feeling how weak that is. And like I said on the podcast last night, after seeing you guys talk about the mountain climbers and how it strengthens up in here, been implementing that, and noticed a massive difference when I first started. I was getting this huge clip through the hip, and now that's pretty much gone, and I can increase the speed without pain. So
what that is just so it's just clicking over.
Yeah.
Just because it's not tracking as it should.
Yeah, and I already feel more straight, and I also starting to feel my glutes fire in. So having gone through all that training with an imbalance, what are you trying to do now to rebuild?
It's undo it. But to be honest, triathlon in general, any endurance-based sport, it's all about undoing the work you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's repetitive by nature. So, when you're swimming, what, 15, 20K a week sort of thing. So you got to unwind that. That's a lot of, especially if that's all freestyle. If you're not mixing it with any backstroke, that's a lot of forward movement, which creates a dominance. I see upper trap dominance. Pec minor is overdeveloped. And then you just end up not using your scapular stabilizers. This is where I see shoulder impingement is such a key issue for so many swimmers, and they're just not doing anything to undo it. And it's a natural thing. There's the research, can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but the more distance you increase, the more chance of injury. Hence why I took such a minimalistic approach to that as well, because you're actually more injury prone the more training you do in swimming because of the repetitive nature. I'm continually in here undoing all that stuff. So with swimming, running's exactly the same, cycling's exactly the same. The interesting thing with cycling and running is, as you alluded to, hip flexors.
Yeah.
We sit all day, so we sit all day for about 8 hours. Then we jump on our bikes into another shortened state of our hip flexors, again with the hamstrings as well being shortened. And then we're going for a run. And then if you look at a triathlete to a marathon runner, completely different. Yeah. Where triathletes are a lot, tighter, shorter strides. It's known as the Ironman shuffle, because we can't open up as much, and that's just due to those restrictions, because nobody's really addressing those issues. And it's even more so for me with my flexibility disorders. So I really need to be on top of that stuff, make sure I'm addressing that on a daily basis. Yeah. Yeah,
it's interesting you say about swimming and constantness. I think that's part of why I got that impingement. Is I was only ever breathing on my right hand side. I've got an overdevelopment of this oblique muscle. Yeah. I was a breaststroker and I hated backstroke. So towards the end of my swimming, I don't know if you call it career, but time swimming competitively, I got into IM, so I was forced to do a bit more backstroke. But yes, stupidly 400 IM and 200 butterfly for some reason.
That's the most brutal race you can do.
But yeah, it's there was none of that. I think one winter training we had to go up Pilates, but I don't know, we didn't really know what we were doing, and it was all about just core recruitment. It wasn't anything undoing and opening up shoulders or anything like that. But
that's also very important. Like, people don't understand the importance of body position and body awareness. So people while swimming, they're not engaging the pelvic floor. So they're swimming along very loosely, and they're not getting the full performance out of their swimming because everything's just not firing as it should. So that's again the other way I look at it. It's not just so much the undoing, but it's from an efficiency standpoint. If you're not utilizing your body to its full potential, you're just wasting energy when you could really be gaining those extra time. And it's free speed, as some of my clients like to call it. Yeah,
and it's interesting you mentioned that pelvic floor stuff. Towards the end of my swimming, the breaststroke was definitely getting more of a wave to it. Yeah. And it was, you were starting to use those lower core muscles to get that extra, free speed going. And I'd say if you went back to swimming training, probably the workload as a young person would be less. You'd be spending more time, and you go to a pool and you see swimmers with quads out for a run and doing heaps of land-based stuff now, and cables and all sorts of stuff.
I deal with quite a few swimmers. So swimmers in here, and then I've also been to quite a few of the camps as well to help them in that basis as well. But again, from that context, it's crazy to see the lack of mobility that these kids have. Not necessarily just from the swimming, but just from lack of mobility in general. So human body should be able to get into a deep squat. It should be able to comfortably hold that for about 10 minutes at least. It should be just natural. However, with all the sitting that we do today and the sedentary lifestyles that we lead, I've been in those swimming camps and seen kids that are 10, 12 years old that can't even do it. They can't even get down into a deep squat, let alone hold it for 10 minutes. It's scary. there's things need to be changed, and people need to, like, that change that you're saying is happening, needs to be there, because it's getting quite scary.
Yeah, I know Nick Gill's got a thing for kids to do, and that's try to eat their foot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's
That'd be a good one.
Pretty cool. And tongue-in-cheek, I put up that photo of me with Billy from 2 weekends ago in a squat position, and it's only been, well, post-surgery, because I was so restricted, but something that I've done between patients. If I've got 5 minutes, I make sure I get off.
I've seen you on Instagram doing it.
Get off my chair and try to sit as low as I can and get a few odd looks from staff.
Yeah. But those are the things I'm trying to change. It's those small changes that you can implement into your lifestyle. Yeah, they look a bit weird at first, but when you understand the context of why you're doing it, like you do, it's just so powerful. And like I deal with a lot of corporates as well, and those are the things I'm implementing. Is exactly what you're doing. Is just taking a minute or two just to do a little bit of movement, just to undo the sitting posture, just like the swimming is the sitting posture. Like being desk bound is, I think now known as the 3rd leading cause of death in the world. So it's scary.
Yeah.
Just due to sitting down too much. How scary is that? Like,
and I like your desk. I was constantly harping on it, the partners, that we needed to get more movable desks so that we could stand up. But hopefully I can wrangle it with the new place. If not, down the track will be, I'll quote that, third highest cause of death. Yeah. Probably the next one up is probably sleep.
Yeah, I think it might be actually. Yeah.
No, nice. So the Ironman, you lost your heart, or was it your heart rate or your speed?
Well, my speed. Yeah. So my Garmin that was on front of my bike. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, how far in was that, and what do you think that meant for you?
It didn't really mean anything. It kind of did, I guess. So I lost about 130 k's in.
Yeah.
I think it stopped working at 110 for some reason. I don't know why it stopped working. It just wasn't picking up my speed anymore. Mm-hmm. Actually, I wasn't doing distance. I was still saying speed, but it wasn't accurate. At least I hope not. But yeah, it was just slowly throughout the bike, because I did something you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to change anything on race day, in particular Ironman. But I got my hands on a new bottle cage, which goes in the front of the bike. So I was
so you can just sip on when you're in position.
Well, it's just easy to access from the thing. Some people have straws, but I didn't have a straw, so it's just easy access. But the connection slowly rattled. It was like rattling the whole time, and then I think I was hoping it would hold on, and then it just continually got looser and looser, and then I think it was at the 130 mark. It just really started to rattle, and I was like, got to the point where I just like ripped it off just before it came off, and just chucked on my tri-suit.
Yeah.
And then, lost my data because of that. But actually, I'd already lost it prior to that when it stopped working. But,
And so you also said that you didn't get your, was it food or something?
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. Like, my idea behind it was, like I mentioned earlier, was to prove my model. But it was also to prove that... okay, that's good.
That's good. It's scary. The screen's just gone black.
That being a fat-adapted athlete that fuels off whole foods. Yeah. So I didn't want to have any chemically-based food. Like, I wanted to have everything that was like a whole food that I could get my hands on. So I was on Tom and Luke's Bliss Balls.
And I loved your little track that you built on your bike.
Yeah. My little box. Just full of Bliss Balls, all you can imagine.
Yeah.
I was trying to prove that you could do it well with those foods. But for full transparency, I kind of screwed up. I didn't take the time to calculate how much I had and I needed, and that was I don't know why I didn't. It was ignorance on my behalf. And what I kind of roughly thought in my head when I put it in was completely wrong. I miscalculated quite significantly because I looked at the Bliss Balls, and it was, I thought one Bliss Ball was one serving size.
Right.
Turns out it's one serving size is 3.2 or 3.3 Bliss Balls.
And there's 3 in the packet.
What's that?
And there's 3 in the packet, or did you get the big packet?
Oh, I get the big. I go through heaps. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's not good.
Yeah. So you're getting about a third.
I was getting under a third. So I had 10 Bliss Balls when I should have really had over 33 bliss balls.
Yeah.
Not good. So I was going really well. I hit my swim perfect. I did 55 minutes for my swim.
Yeah.
And then my bike, I was 5:25. Those are my target times because my goal was to go sub 10 hours, which I kind of never thought was possible until a month out from Ironman. I started calculating. I was like, I actually might be able to make this happen. The goal was always sub 11, but I realized in that last month that sub 10 was possible. So all I had to do, I say this casually, but all I had to do was like a 3:30 marathon, which I knew I could do through my training. And I know it's different on race day, and you should not really be focusing on what training is because training is going to be different to racing. But I knew in my head that I could do it, and when I get my mindset in something, I know I can do it. But came out of the bike, straight into the run, feeling amazing. I was just feeling good, and then all of a sudden, like about 3-4 k's in, it just hit me, and I was just like, "This ain't right.
Yeah,
something's not right." And I couldn't put my finger on it, and I was just like, just keep going. I was just like, came to the point where I realized I wasn't going to hit the 10-hour mark. So I was like, okay, I have a choice now. I can either dwell on this and just kind of be all negative about it, or I can just embrace this moment. Like, how often do you get to do Ironman? This could be my last time. So I'm just going to really soak it up. And it's such a cool environment, the most positive environment you can imagine. So I just made sure I just embraced the moment. I high-fived any little kid that put their hand out, and just did it with a massive smile on my face and just didn't rush it. I was just like, I'm just going to cruise it now, just kind of get around. I was chatting to all my mates on course, they were always teasing me with beers. That was cruel. And yeah, so and then I managed to finish it and 10 hours 50 in the end, so quite a while after what I wanted, but I went for the enjoyment point at the end of the day on that one because I just decided I still achieved my previous goal, which was sub 11 hours.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that 10, which would have been icing on the cake. Yeah. But yeah, from that it's kind of it took me about a week until I was talking to one of my clients, Megan Arthur. She's also did the Ironman that day. She won her age group. She did really well. She's a weapon, Megan. And actually, she's also a high-fat athlete. She was doing a very similar protocol to me. So she was fueling off whole foods as well and exogenous ketones. And we were just talking about it, and she said, I miscalculated my fuel. And then it made me think, maybe I did. And then I started talking to her about it, and she said about the bliss balls. I was like, oh, no way. So we both made the same mistake.
Yeah.
And this is not her first time. This is I think that was her 13th Ironman.
Yeah.
So and it didn't make me feel too bad, like everyone makes mistakes and it's just those simple things. But, but yeah, through that conversation, then post Ironman, I started to really get the itch that I could have done better. And then I started to look at, what would I have to do to go to Kona? Because, that I didn't realize how close I could actually get to that until the weeks leading up to Ironman, and then that week after Ironman, like kind of as I was reviewing it. Yeah. Obviously my time that time around wasn't it, but I know that I could actually do pretty well if I really put my mind to it. So it was previously just going to be the one Ironman. I just proved my model, done, write it off. There's a bucket list thing. But so much room for improvement. I've seen so many ways I can tweak things and biohack it to really get that extra performance enhancement. So I want to go back and give it a proper stab and see if I can qualify for Kona.
Awesome. So would that mean more than one Ironman in a year? Will you go do something like Challenge Wanaka as well? Or? So
Challenge Wanaka is now half. They removed the full. Yes.
Well, that could be a good lead.
Yeah. Oh, no, it probably will be a good lead, and I probably will consider it. It is quite close, though, so it is that kind of, it's that risk. Yeah, it depends how you bounce back and depends on how you structure your run up to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to do next year. My plan is just to do halves this year. Well, I've got Gold Coast coming at the end of the year, and then halves, and then do it properly in 2020, and just give me that time just because I want to focus my business for a change. I'm going to grow that as much as I can, and then give it a good stab in 2020. But, hey, if training's going well, feeling good, may take a stab. We'll see.
Nice. So you might have somebody at the Gold Coast to tempt you with beers. We'll have to look in dates and come up and watch, I think. Was one of those people tempting you with beers Tim Doyle? Or was
he was riding along on a bike.
Nice.
Actually, no, I think he had a beer in his hand at one point. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he was one of the tempting guys, yeah.
And not that you're competitive, but how did your time compare to Tim's?
I beat him.
Oh, Tim. He'll have to get back into it too, buddy.
Well, that was the thing. As I was racing, I was like, you getting tempted? Because obviously, like I was saying, I was talking heaps of shit as I was running around, just talking to anyone that wanted to listen. And yeah, Tim was one of those people I was having a good yarn to. And I was like, I could see he's getting enticed, you know. He's the triathlon's leading up. He was getting more and more interested in coming back. So I think there will be a return from the Doyle at some point.
Big man.
So I look forward to it.
And that'll be
cool. At the challenge.
It'd be awesome to get that big frame running along efficiently with those massive strides. It's nice. So last night you spoke at Seed Waikato.
Yep, sure.
120 people of similar age group. You've done Pichikucha before. How was it talking to people that are of a similar age about something that you often find confronting, and many young people sort of put it on the back burner in terms of their health and well-being? What was that like?
Yeah, it was awesome just to be in such a positive environment and of like-minded people. You know, there's nothing more powerful than being surrounded by those people that lift you up. So I loved having the opportunity to really talk to them and empower them, or hopefully empower them, I hope, with my journey. And just give them a bit of education around, actionable tips. Because there's no point in just, telling you stuff and then, not giving you anything actionable to do. Because I'm a big believer in making sure you're taking actionable steps to change. And keeping it as simple as possible. And hopefully I helped enlist that in them. Give them a few key tips that they can start considering and start going down the way of making those changes. I really enjoyed it. And loving public speaking. I'm getting more and more opportunities at the moment to do it. That's something I'm really enjoying.
Awesome, man. You followed Dr. Steve?
Yeah.
What was it like having your speech talked out and then being able to say, so I did all that?
And that was exactly it. So pretty much listened to Dr. Steve Joe, and I was just like, tick, tick, tick. That's all of mine. And it was really good to see. So instead of conflicting messages, we had the same message, and I actually got to show it from a personal perspective, my own personal journey of going through those exact changes that he discussed. So hopefully that impacted people more because they realised that it wasn't just Steve or just me saying this. There is more than just one person preaching this. It is actually a positive change that more and more people need to start looking down the route of. And hopefully we did that. So
yeah, nice. And it was also awesome that it was on the same week that Pete Evans might have been somewhat vindicated that he's not crazy with low carb, and it was cool seeing Dr. Karen Zinn talk about it and mention Verta Health and type 2 diabetes is reversible, and then another low carb nutritionist in Auckland that wasn't Cliff Harvey just saying, I do low carb and it works. And
who was that?
Michelle somebody, I think.
Not Mickey?
Mickey? No, it wasn't Mickey Walden either.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because she did a good one on ketosis the other day.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's becoming more mainstream, and I think we're lucky that we live in New Zealand and we've got those people. I'm a little bit nervous about going to Australia and speaking about low carb, seeing what's happened to a number of people over there, but should be right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
Gary Fettke is one of them, and can't remember what the nutritionist was, but if you go back and watch Grant Schofield's first episode, he mentioned the name. So
on your
so I think it was about episode.
I've listened to it before. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in there speaking about that. Yeah, but no, we'll be right. There's lots more evidence now.
Change is happening.
Yeah, change is happening, and one of the biggest people on Australian TV gets vindicated for those thoughts, and maybe general population will be okay with it.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Yeah, that's all we can hope.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in a magnificent facility. You've got weights, but there's so many other little things around here, like mats and so many foam rollers and stuff. What do you think about personal release of joints and body parts?
So self-myofascial release is kind of the term for it. It's essential. Like, it's important. Our body's just like a good massage. I'm trying to make... So the issue was, like, I when I was studying, my plan was to become like a physio and osteo, because I wanted to help people, and that was the only way I could see doing it at that point. But through my studies, I started to identify, hang on a second, I can teach people how to fix themselves.
Yeah.
Because my big focus is I don't want to I don't want them to have to come and see me to get fixed. I want to give them the skills, empower them with the tools to be able to fix themselves. So my big focus is how can I educate them to make the change, and so not just this is how you foam roll, but this is why we foam roll. So when this occurs, this is what you need to do. If this occurs, you need to think about it like this. So not just from the foam rolling, but that applies to everything I do. I want to give people the education so they can make the changes themselves instead of having to rely on a specialist like myself. Because if I really want to make a big impact, I only have so many hours in the day, So I don't think people actually have to spend $1,000 continuously seeing people to get fixed every time. Just lie on a table and get a few clicks. Why not empower them to make the change themselves? So then, in the long run, they're more empowered to why they're making the change, and it's just a lot more long lasting. And it's just a quick shift, because usually through the education we're identifying lifestyle factors which is causing it, and they only understand that because they understand what is happening in the body. So I think it's really important to give them the full picture about what is going on and addressing it like that. So all these tools, many methods for using them. Again, I don't believe that everyone requires to do hours and hours a day. I try to look at, from an efficiency standpoint, again, what is your key exercises? So I usually give clients a few key exercises which I think have been most pivotal in their change. So the first few sessions is kind of identifying. First we go through the pre-screen, which is quite in depth. We identify everything from health history into goal setting, into adrenal stress, gut health stress, where the stress factors are coming from, leading into posture, sleep, and movement. So we're trying to identify everything as much as possible, so we get the full picture about what is going on. And then when they come into the first few sessions, it's just taking them through things and seeing how their body's adapting, how it's responding, and where are the key imbalances that need correcting. And then we kind of select a few key exercises that are going to be most impactful for them. So kind of the keystone exercises. So maybe 3 exercises, maybe 4 exercises, no longer than 5 minutes a day, that they just need to try and do religiously, and that's going to make a big impact. So short-term, big impact, and then give them a few extra exercises if they have that little bit extra time. These are the ones you can do. Maybe try to do these 2-3 times a week. And I think that's where I'm seeing a lot of success in my clients, because it's simple enough to do. It's not hard to implement, like as you do. They don't have to be all done at once. It can be just when you've got 2 minutes at your desk, you need a quick break. You've been working for 45 minutes. You just need a quick breather, drop down to a squat. Something simple like that.
Awesome. So, of course, people will be able to watch yours and Dr. Steve's talk on the See Waikato page on YouTube, and also I think you'll be able to find the link through their website as well as blogs, and I've got one up there. Where do people find Tailored Health?
So Facebook and Instagram. I release videos every Monday and Thursday. So that Monday's mobility, Thursday's strength. So the hang of that is Tailored Health NZ, and then also website www.tailoredhealth.co.nz. I've also just created an athlete page as well, which is www.luketaylor.co.nz.
Awesome. And on Facebook, you've also collected a group again with like-minded people. What's that about, and what can people expect from their page?
So I've just recently created a community, because I find with talking to people that consume a lot of content like myself, like I listen to a book or sometimes 2 books a week, and a whole host of podcasts, including yourself, of course. And I wanted to have it as a space in which we can kind of share what we've found thought-provoking, or what's made you think a lot different, because I'm all about thinking different. I find too many people try and fit in this box. I think we need to be opening our mind to more perspectives and just seeing how we can make a big change, because with technology today, there's so much happening, and I'm looking to harness that as much as possible to empower more people. So the idea of this community, it was just because I was talking to so many people about content. I was like, how about instead of just sharing the same things to different people individually, have a community where everyone can talk and share these things.
Yeah. So what's it called?
Level Up, I think.
Level Up.
Yep.
We'll link it, of course. Nice. So I guess probably what's to leave people with would be, what have you learned from World Champs to the the Ironman?
Yeah, so there was a lot of learnings. I'd say... so yeah, biggest thing, I think the most pivotal thing for me is be present. So be mindful of just being mindful. So detaching yourself from the past, detaching yourself from the future, and becoming present in the moment. I find there's too many people in this technological driven world that are just continuously stimulated by mobile phones. Perfect example of my phone just getting called, or Facebook notifications, and we don't detach ourselves from that. It's at our hip. When we go to sleep, it's right beside us. It's the first thing we do when we wake up. We need to remove ourselves from that and become present in the moment, because to truly make an impact, you can't detach us. You can't make an impact if you're focusing on the past or the future. You can only make an impact when you're truly present in the moment. So I'd say that'd be the most pivotal thing, and then from there, surround yourself with those that lift you up. So that's one of the ideas behind the community, along with my Facebook page. Like, I want to create an awesome tailored community where we get thought-provoking questions and get everybody talking and communicating, and not afraid to say something that's different, and just put it out there, and let's get everybody talking. I'd say that'd be the main one, and then think different. Be the other one, because too many people try and fit that norm, and traditional medicine, the norm is not helping the majority of the population. It's too preventative. It's too reactive. We need to be more preventative, and I think that's where the real need is for healthcare, is looking at it from how we can prevent it instead of having to react. And because all the diseases we're dealing with today are driven from inflammation, as you're well aware. So why aren't we looking at how to reduce inflammation? Like, you talk to, there are good GPs out there, don't get me wrong. There's phenomenal GPs out there, but traditionally, when I have dealt with people that have kind of been told that, the diabetes or
autoimmune,
autoimmune disease, any of the inflammatory diseases, they're just like, here's the drugs. I'm just like, there's so many better options. Like, let's first address what the cause is. So what is the cause? Is it mold? Is it where's the stress coming from?
Parasites,
is it parasite? Is it sugar? Is it gluten? Addressing all those kind of keystone things, like the base level, and you're not only going to just fix what is happening now, what's being created, but you're going to fix their whole life. They're going to get a whole new lease on life, more energy, and just going to feel so much better. There's nothing. It needs to be preventative, not reactive.
And it obviously opens up their life and quality of life, which is why we're good mates, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Obviously, we'll be staying in touch from Australia, and look forward to seeing you on the Gold Coast running a half Ironman. It'd be good.
Oh no, not half over there. That's Olympic distance.
So
I'm just checking another distance in the mix.
Even better. It's
shorter.
We can get to talking quicker. Awesome, mate. Cheers. Oh, the old nerve-wracking. It's there.